In this lesson, we're going to be reviewing what happens when you add and subtract algebraic terms. Just a couple of quick reminders first. A letter next to a number or another letter means it's being multiplied. So 5m is the same as 5 times m. Hopefully you're very familiar with that by now. And a number always has its sign in front of it. So if we're looking at this one here, that's 3, and we consider this number to be negative 5 because it's got the negative sign, the minus sign in front of it. Remember, the minus sign doubles as a negative sign. If you're looking at the whole thing, it's minus. If you're looking at just the number that's behind it, then it's a negative sign. And a small number above and to the right is called an index number. So in here, the index number of the x is 2 and the index number of the y is 5. So we'll need to remember that word, that index number. So let's get into it with 3a plus 5b. So this is 3 lots of a and 5 lots of b. So let's say the a is an apple and b is a banana. That means we've got 3 apples and 5 bananas. And so if you saw 3 apples and 5 bananas in a fruit bowl, you're very unlikely to say, hey, look, there's 8 apple bananas in the fruit bowl. You would not say that. And so for the same reason, we don't say that the answer is 8ab. It's not. You would keep it separate. You'd say there's 3 apples and there's 5 bananas. So I keep these separate. I say there's 3 a's and 5 b's. And so now if we look at a more complicated one down here, 3 lots of a plus 5 lots of b plus 7 lots of a take away 2 lots of b, we could write that as there's 3 apples and then I add another 5 bananas and then I add 7 more apples and then I take away 2 bananas. What would I have? So I've got my 3 apples and I've got my 7 apples here, so there's 10 apples altogether. And if I had 5 bananas there but I took 2 of them away, there'd only be 3 left. So I'd end up with 10 apples and 3 bananas. And so in other words, my answer would be 10a plus 3b. So like terms, they're the ones with exactly the same letters, and only like terms can be added or subtracted. So up here I could not go the 3a plus 5b and make it 8 apple bananas. I wouldn't look at this one and go, well, let's see, that's 8, 15, 13, so I don't know, 13 ABs or something rather. No, we don't do that. We keep it all separate and we go, look, there's 3 A's and another 7 A's, that's 10 A's altogether. Good. And then there's 5 B's, take away 2 B's. And so if our question started with A's and B's, it's going to finish with A's and B's kept separate. A couple of other things we need to note. The first one is if we look at this expression here, there are A's and there are B's. And when we're adding or subtracting them, this 6a here, the negative sign there or the minus sign there's got nothing to do with the 6a whatsoever. It's connected to the 2b. And so we always pay attention to the sign in front of a term. So if I'm doing the a's, it's 6a minus 3a. And then even more crucially, when I'm doing the b's, it's not 2b plus 7b, it's negative 2b plus 7b. You must pay attention to the sign that is in front of a term, not the one afterwards. So when I'm looking at this 2b here, this minus sign's got nothing to do with it. I don't do 2b minus 7b because that minus sign's got to do with the 3a. I do negative 2b because that's that one sign, and then plus 7b because the plus is 7b's sign. Now in this next one, there's multiple letters. There's xy's, xy's, and yx's over there. Now it's important to remember that y times x here, because remember there's a times sign between them, it's y times x, and it doesn't matter what order you multiply in. And that means that 4yx is actually the same as 4xy. And so that means that these are the 3 like terms here. We've got xy's there, xy's there, and these could be thought of as xy's because it doesn't matter if I write that as xy or yx, I'd get the same value. And so all letters must be the same, but they can be done in a different order. So this x is not a like term with 6xy. This has got a y, this does not have a y. Okay, likewise, this y here is not a like term to xy because there's no x in this one. Okay, but these ones are xy, xy, and this is xy as well. Doesn't matter what order they're in. Now in this next one, we've got these index numbers up here, and we have to pay careful attention to those as well. So this is x squared and y3. Notice this one here, it's got the y to the power 3, but does not have x squared. That means that this one is not a like term with the first one. And if we move over to the 3y squared x to the 3, sorry, 3y squared x to the 3, yeah. Notice that the 2 and the 3 are in the same order as over here, but the letters have been swapped. This one goes yx and this one goes xy. So what we've got to pay attention to is, see, this one's got x with a 2 above it. This one would have to have x with a 2 above it as well, and it doesn't. This has got x with a 3 above it. They're not like terms either. The only two like terms is this one here and this one there. Notice that the letters have been swapped, but so have the index numbers. And so this has got x squared, that's got x squared, and this has got y to the 3, and this has got y to the 3. So the index numbers must be the same, and they must stay above the same letter for them to be like terms. Let's take a look at a couple of examples now. So we're going to simplify this expression. The very first thing I'm going to do is write it down. And from there, I need to collect my like terms. I've got my 5x and my 6x. And so 5x plus 6x is 11x. And then I've got negative 2y plus 8y. So negative 2 plus 8 is positive 6. So I just write down positive 6y. And I've got my answer. Now in the next one, we've got a much larger expression to simplify. So first of all, let's carefully write it down, and then we start looking for like terms. Now this one's got an x squared in it and a y. This x isn't squared, so that's no good. This one's got x squared and a y, so there's my first like term. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with them first. I'm going to go, there's 2, take away 7, that means it's negative 5. And when I write it down, usually write them down in alphabetical order. So instead of writing down yx squared, here I'd write down x squared y. It's not technically incorrect if you write them down in the opposite way. As long as the squared stays above the x, we just normally put them in alphabetical order. And now looking at this 2xy, it's not the same as this y here. In fact, it's got no buddies, no like terms at all. And so I'm just going to copy it straight down. I'm not going to change it at all. It's just 2xy. And then comes this y. It's got no like terms at all either. So again, I'm just going to copy it down. So these were the only two like terms in this question. Everything else just got copied straight down, and that's my final answer. I can't do anything else to that. Now, just a quick note on that answer. It could be written like this instead. Now, these two answers actually mean exactly the same thing. All that's happened is the positive 2xy here has been put out the front in front of the minus 5x squared y. The reason we do that is because we don't usually like starting an expression with a negative if we can get away with it, and you are allowed to take a term and just move it somewhere else as long as you keep the same sign. So I couldn't take this 5x squared y, for example, and then end up having a plus sign in front of it. If it's got a minus sign there, it's got to have a minus sign in front of it wherever. So I could rearrange it like this. I could also take this y here and I could move that to the front if I want. And so it would look like this. Or I could now say swap this term around with that one there. Notice the 2xy has still got a plus there, and the minus 5x squared y has got a minus there. And so all these four answers actually mean exactly the same thing. So when you're checking your answers, there's no need to worry about it. There's no need to go around rearranging them just for the sake of it. So if you had that answer, that'd be fine. But let's say you check the back of the book and it had this answer here. All you got to do is match up all your terms. So see, I've got a negative 5x squared y there, and there's 1 in the answer. Good, that's 1. What about this 2x squared y? Yep, that's over here. Mine's positive. This one's is positive. Remember, it's positive if it hasn't got a minus sign in front of it. And finally, the y's, yep, got those as well. That means these two answers are identical. I could give it a tick. Let's try a couple of practice questions now. Remember to pause the video. And there are our solutions. Remember, just the question written down with the answer straight underneath is fine. So in the first one, I wrote it down to start with exactly as it was in the question, and then I just went looking for like terms. So this 5mx, are there any other mx's? Yes, there is, even though it's the other way around, even though it's xm, so that's fine. And so 5, take away 3 is 2, so there's 2 mx's. And then here I got negative 6k, are there more k's? There is, and so negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. That's why there's minus 2k there. And in the second one, we just had some squares. Had to make sure, remember, that x squared is not the same as x. It's got to have the same index numbers. And so there's Wrote down the question to start with, and there is 4x squareds here and 3x squareds there, so altogether that is 7x squareds, and there's 7x's here. Take away an x means that there is plus 6, positive 6 x's left over. Here is some more practice questions. If you need to have another go, remember to pause the video. And there's the solutions to those. Hopefully you got them right this time, but remember to seek help if you need it. And that is the end of this lesson.